dialed in to Byron Velvik's Fishtails. Real talk, real tactics, and the stories that make it all worthwhile. Byron Velvik's Fishtails is brought to you by Livingston Lures, Trika Fishing, Mercury Outboards, and Cas Boats. Without further ado, here's Byron.
Hey everybody, Byron Velvik once again. Thanks for joining me, Fishtails. Hey, if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do. Subscriptions are going crazy. The likes are coming in. Show's really taking off. And I want to thank every one of you for checking out the show, getting into it, subscribing. Actually, we're running a promotion right now. From now until the end of the year, Trika Fishing is going to have a rod reel giveaway. So on Black Friday and on Christmas Day, Trika is going to do a random poll of whoever is subscribed to the show, and we're going to give away an $800 value rod and reel, bait caster or spinning. It's up to the person that wins. So definitely go to Trika Fishing at the and we'll check out Trika Fishing, and then more importantly, go do the subscription. But right now, back to Fishtails. Man, I'm excited because today I have a friend of mine. We go way back, and we started doing a lot of shows together. I'm not going to tell too much now because I just want to get him on. It's my friend, the saltwater guru, the TV guy, George Gozdz of Unfathomed, and here he is. What's up?
Hey, Byron. How are you, buddy?
George, I'm good. Dude, what's the background I see going on? It looks like there's a Canis and a Mercury right over your back of your shoulder.
Yeah, we're here at my boat barn. I built this a couple years ago. It's kind of nice to be able to keep your boat inside, air conditioned in Florida. So it's the ultimate man cave. I got my new Canis 281 twin.
Show it to me. Show it to me. Move that camera around. I want to see it. You gotta do a little. You have that whole boat in the boat barn. How big is that thing?
28.
28. How many? You got one on there or two? How much power does it have?
That's got the twin Verado 300. So twin 300s on that one.
Oh, Mercury 300s, twins. Gosh, you've had so many boats. I can't keep up with all the boats you got. So you're doing a TV show. Obviously, it's quite famous now. You're just rolling and going. I've heard all these great things. What people don't realize is we started off together a long time ago doing outdoor programming. ESPN has showed, I think we did Going Coastal and Guide's Eyes both, didn't we? Didn't we do both ESPN Going Coastal and Guide's Eyes on Outdoor Channel?
Yeah. Back in the day, it's been a while, but yeah, that's
dude, that was
some of my earliest shows.
10 years ago, buddy. 10 years ago, or more. Was it more?
I think it was, because it was back before I was. I've had my new show Unfathomed for the last 8 years, and then I was hosting Real-Time Florida Sportsman for at least 8 years prior to that. So it has to be at least 15 years since we've done that, I think.
Oh my gosh. The reason we got together was Berkeley actually got us together. It was Scott DeBeal recommended you for being on the show when I was doing the Going Coastal on ESPN. And so suddenly we met down in Stuart, Florida. And dude, of all the shows I did, it was so much fun because George, you were so dialed. Like I think we went there to do one show. We ended up doing 3 shows with you because you're like, oh, let's go catch Snookosaurus. Oh, let's go out and roll some tarpon. Oh, let's go out at night and, fish under the lights. It's like the producers were like, this guy has so many different looks and so much versatility. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was bad. I wish the fishing was still as good as it was then. Unfortunately, it seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older. Fishing's getting harder, but it was definitely, we had some good fishing back in the day.
We did. We had some great times, man. And it was easy to make television with you. It was easy to make TV down there together because you literally had so much stuff dialed. My biggest snook of my life, the Snookosaurus under that bridge. And again, I've never seen anybody throw a cast net like you. And it was neat because with Guide's Eyes, it was through the eyes of the guide. We literally looked at your life. So we kind of followed you from soup to nuts, making bait in the morning, getting the boat ready, a little bit of home life mixed in. It was a really good show because we went in and we kind of got a feel for about how George lives down there. And at the time, you were still working in the hospital part-time, or I think you were balancing guiding and being in the hospital. And that's all behind you now, isn't it?
Yeah, I left the hospital about 11 years ago now. I've never looked back. So it was about 15 years in the emergency department, and I had my fill of that. So I was filming for my show. I was guiding, and I was working at the hospital at the same time and trying to raise two kids, and it just got to be too much. So once I started my own show, I just kind of quit the hospital, and honestly, I've never looked back.
So tell everybody about the show. Where can you find it? Tell me about the show. You had me as a guest because you came out to Texas. So if people go searching around online, they're going to find Unfathomed in at Choke Canyon Lake Reservoir. But tell us about the show and where it's airing now.
Yeah, so you can our anchor is the Outdoor Channel at Saturday mornings at 10:30. You can see it starting in January. It'll air the first 6 months of the year on the Outdoor Channel. Then it goes to the World Fishing Network for 6 months. It also airs digitally on MOTV. Game and Fish TV has it, and that's also available on YouTube as well. So we try to hit all. I know, understand that everybody gets their content in different ways now, so we try to distribute it a bunch of different ways so you can see it a bunch of different ways.
That's great, man. Are you enjoying it? Are you loving it? Are you burned out? Or you still just love every bit of what you're doing? Or is it? I mean, you were like a kid in the candy store back when we did our show together, right? Weren't you?
No, yeah, no, I love it. I'm blessed to be doing what I do. I love every minute of it. You know, people don't understand though it is work. There's a lot to it, especially on the business side of things. It's getting harder. The pies are getting divided up amongst so many different people now, so it gets a little tougher and tougher to do what we do. But you know, we're kind of staying true to our roots and just producing high quality production, going around doing cool stuff. You know, it's not so much the fishing. It's to me, it's always been about the travel, about the adventure, about the destination. So the show is kind of based on that premise. And once we left Florida Sportsman, it was kind of nice because I was so tied into the Florida fishery. I was able to branch away from that. So we do, you know, like we traveled to CU. I went up to Eastern Seaboard, up to Jersey for last season, you know, do a bunch of stuff in the Bahamas, travel to Guatemala often as well. So just able to do a lot more stuff and tell a lot more stories.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Fishtails. Appreciate you checking us out. Also, check out the Livingston Lure app if you get a chance. All kinds of great information on there. And be sure to subscribe and to like Fishtails. Back to the show. So, George, you've been doing Unfathomed for a long time. What is the look, the feel? What is the premise behind the show?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. We traveled to so many different destinations. We don't really have a kind of story outline per se before we go anywhere. It's more of a vlog style. We kind of just travel with a couple cameramen and just start filming. And the story kind of usually starts to tell itself. You know, so many times it's just the destination. It could be unique personality. It could be a unique fishery. It could be a type of fishery and the style of fishing that we're doing. It normally has a cuisine segment as well to kind of cater to those that, you know, love food. And it's more just travel, adventure, fishing, and just going and trying to do cool stuff to cool destinations and stuff that I've always kind of dreamt of doing. And I think that stuff that people want to see at home.
Are you guys doing mostly? I know it's mostly saltwater, Unfathomed, but are you still doing some freshwater? We did Choke Canyon together. Had a blast doing it out there, flipping the wood and all that stuff. But and I wish I could throw links in, like I could put links into the show. I'm gonna have to put them in the description. So I will put a link to like our show in the description so people can check it out and watch it, and then you can send me the link to the show. But are you doing freshwater?
Not a lot, very little. A show or two here or there. Saltwater's kind of always been true to who I am, so mainly just sticking with saltwater for now. But if there's cool stuff to do in freshwater, you know, we're always open to doing different stuff and trying different stuff. It was, you know, it was pretty cool to come out to see you. I piggybacked that on a trip to Texas where we went snook fishing on the coast. Um, Camus is coming out with a new boat that I think is going to be something unique for Texas. So can't really say too much more about that, but I'm sure I'm going to be spending a little bit more time down there.
Really? You're going to be coming to Texas to test out a Camus boat? Am I going to have to call Earl and get the scoop on what's coming? Because, hey, man, I'm in Texas, and we both know Big Daddy Earl Bent's the owner of the company. Earl, in case you haven't seen it, George, was a guest on the show, one of the very first guests on the show. And we went through, we looked at the whole life of Earl. We got pictures from his racing days, pictures of him with Bill Dance, just all kinds of pictures of the family in the Bahamas or on vacation in Florida. So, I mean, you and I go way back with Earl and obviously Michelle at Mercury together. But yeah, he's got a secret boat coming out that might be a Texas version that I'm gonna have to meet you guys at the Gulf to run around in it with you if I can.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to get Big E upset, but Yeah, I mean that.
Biggie!
I'm thankful for that. You initially made that introduction for me back in the day, in the Triton days. And Earl's become a huge impact and a big player in what I do. He's been a big advocate for me, and I support his brand, and he's always supported me. So he's there's. I always tell people there's probably nobody that's done more in the industry for me than Earl. Those that don't know Earl, he's a big figure in the marine industry, and he's been building boats his whole life. And he's the kind of guy that you definitely want in your corner.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the show, go to Fishtails, check out the Earl Bent episode, which was again one of the early shows. And we actually talked about you on the show, talked about those early days when I brought a Triton down. We were filming out of a Triton Mercury back then for the show. We were doing Going Coastal. So we had our boat that we went out in, and that's where I said, hey, Earl has a house down here, like in Stuart, Florida, where we're filming. We were able to drive over to his house in the Triton. And go see Earl and Janet, and that introduction happened, and I think it's great that you've done so well with it, and it's gone so well for you because you kept saying, man, I want to do this, man, I want to do TV shows, man, I want to host a TV show, and I was like, gosh, you just ran with it. As I was kind of doing my show and retiring and fading out, you exploded, and I'm so happy for you, George. It's been a good run, and Earl speaks so highly of you. So check out the Earl Bent show if you get a chance. Even you, I know you said you haven't had a chance to watch the whole thing, but your ears are burning because we were talking about you. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I filmed a couple episodes with Earl in the past as well, and him and I have done a lot of fun fishing together. We do a lot of stuff offshore together now. So every opportunity that we get, we fish together. But yeah, I mean, just blessed to be doing what I'm doing, and blessed to meet people like Earl and yourself that really kind of made a difference. And it could be just one person that you meet in your life that makes a huge difference. And your show back in the day definitely kind of helped put me into that limelight and got me the exposure that I needed.
So where's your
Appreciate it.
favorite place? Hey man, thank you so much. I mean, I loved having you. And as soon as we did the show, it was a no brainer when they gave me a new show on Outdoor Channel, after Going Coastal, Guide's Eyes. I was like, the first show we got to do is go down to Stewart, knock out 2 or 3, maybe 4 episodes with George, because it was a natural to work with you. And so but you went more I was an inshore guy. That's what we did, was all inshore. You're doing a lot more blue water stuff with your show, aren't you?
Yeah, a lot of but I was confined to a bay boat for so many years with Triton because that's all they had. When I finally left there, 26 LTS was like the biggest bay boat they had. They were no longer making true offshore V bottom, bigger boats. So I was always kind of confined to what I could do and limited to what I could do by the size of the boat. And then once Earl started Camus, now we're making a 44-foot cat with quad 425s that, I can run deep into the Bahamas for weeks on end and holds 1,000 gallons of fuel. And it doesn't care if it's rough or not, it's going to go and it's going to eat it up. So just a lot more opportunities to do the deep water stuff. I had a 34 Camus cat that I personally owned that we took up to the Big Rock and fished the Big Rock tournament against some of the best in the world. And
And how'd
then
you
on
do?
top of
How'd you do in the tournament?
we caught one the first 10 minutes of the tournament, first 10 minutes of practice day. We hooked one. I thought, oh, this is going to be the easiest fishing in the world, and we never got another bite for the whole week. We never had a bite. But if
Come
anybody knows the Big
on.
Rock tournament, yeah, that's the Big Rock. That's the way Big Rock goes. You're fishing for a couple $1 million, and you're fishing for that one big bite. And unfortunately, we just never got it that week.
Did you get the big
But we
bite in
did fish.
practice? It was a big bite
Yeah,
in
we got a
practice?
Yeah, we hooked one in practice, but we took the 44 last season episode for last year, and we fished with Earl with his son-in-law Todd down in Ocean Reef and did their tournament down there out of the 44, and out of a team of 50 something of the best sail fishermen in all the United States, we were tied for third. We got fourth on time in that tournament, but the first time a team had fished together on a brand new boat that was fishing for the very first time, a brand new model, we ended up tying for third place. So we were super happy about that.
Wow, that's solid, man. So going back to
Yeah.
the show, where is, of all the shows you filmed, like which one at this point? Because I know you got a lot more coming up. Favorite show, favorite one you did.
I have several. I really enjoy the family shows that I get to do with the kids and the family. I've taken the kids Zane and I done a couple to the Bahamas. We did one that's going to air this season where he came home for college, and we ran over and fished in Marsh Harbor for a week. I've done a couple where I've had both kids with me. Any time they have that opportunity to take the kids along, because that's all you're going to leave is a legacy, and to have those memories on film with them is something that I'm going to always cherish. Then as far as destinations, I go to Guatemala quite a bit. And it's kind of become like a little second home to me. The fishing down there is amazing. The people are amazing. Uh, so it's probably one of my more favorite places to go. I've actually started hosting trips where I just got back. Actually, almost all of October I spent in Guatemala, where I brought down 60 of my clients, and spent
60? 60?
yeah. Yeah, so I'll bring 20 down at a time. The resort, Pacific Fins, holds 20. So I do 20 at a time and just rotate them in and out. And I've been going down there for 8, 9 years, and I know it so well that I know all the captains, I know all the mates, I know all the staff at the resort, and it's just an incredible fishery. So it's one of those destination places that you just kind of got to get to. You never think of Guatemala as kind of a destination, especially for fishing, but it's probably one of the best billfish destinations in the world right now.
Well, you've also, I've heard, and I mean, I can't wait to ask this. I did not, the cool thing about a podcast is like, I don't want to talk to you off camera. Like, I want to do this on the show. So people watching the podcast be like, oh, it's organic. It's not like, yeah, you were on iCast and we talked about this and let's have you repeat that. You started having some celebrities on your show. You have some famous people you've been fishing with. But do they go to Guatemala with you? Or do some of these well-known people just go charter with you in Florida? Or drop some names of some of the VIPs you've been fishing with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, doing this job, it's funny. So many people love to fish. So you have the opportunity to meet some really cool people. I think probably the most famous person I've ever fished with is I fished with Michael Jordan. And he's really into fishing now. And this is prior to him fishing at all. I got a call one evening from one of my clients that said, "Hey, you want to fish with Michael Jordan tomorrow?" I'm like, "What? The Michael Jordan?" So I was able to spend a day on the water with him. Yeah. So that was probably as best as ever going to get.
Were you guiding? Were you just guiding and someone calls you and says, "Hey, you're with the hot guide and the steward. Do you want to take Michael Jordan out tomorrow?"
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. It was a client of mine that plays golf with him frequently here in Stewart, and just said, "Hey, let's go." And I was like, "What?" And I forgot. I think I was supposed to work at the hospital the next day, and it was like, "No, I'm sick. I can't make it in. I'm going fishing." So that's what we did. But he's really big into fishing now. He's big into the tournament scene of fishing. He does all the big billfish tournaments. So owns a big bay list now and has an incredible team that does really well on the tournament side. So he's probably my biggest celebrity, and I've taken, friends of, like Richard Childress, friends of Earl's, from Childress NASCAR racing. I've done a bunch of celebrity golf stuff. My buddy Ken Duke was he's on the Seniors PGA Tour now. So I get to do a lot of golf stuff as well. I'm trying to get with Ricky Fowler right now because he just joined our Yeti team. So trying to get him down here to do some snook fishing. So it's just,
I heard, maybe it's a rumor then, I heard you fish with Janet Jackson.
Oh yeah, Janet. I love Janet. She's
I heard a rumor. I'm like, I heard the rumor. I never asked you this. We saw each other at ICAST. I didn't have the time, but I heard Janet Jackson went fishing with you.
Yeah, she went fishing with me several different times. It's not her that loves to fish, it's her son.
Okay.
So, yeah. I do jujitsu with one of her security personnel, the guy that's done security for her forever. Him and I trained jujitsu together, Professor Joey, and he hooked me up with her, and I've taken her, a handful of times whenever she comes to Florida.
I never told you this story, but I have a Janet Jackson story, and it goes back to when my family were performers. So my cousins, and they live in Florida, they actually live up in New Smyrna Beach, and they traveled all around the country performing. Danny Thomas, they traveled around. They were on Merv Griffin's show. This is like a million years ago. I was just a kid, but my cousins would travel all over. They would do fairs, they would do TV shows, they would perform in Vegas. They were in the opening act and just a family show, kind of like the Partridge Family. So we're living in California. My mom is like, "Hey, cousins, the Conti family, it was called. My cousins were Cuchettis, but the Conti family is performing in Vegas. We're going to go there. They're opening up for the Jackson Five, so the Jacksons are there. So we go to Vegas." And we pull in, and they got their bus, and they pull in under the casino, and the Jackson Five has their bus. So the Jacksons are there, and the Conti family's there opening for them. And there's Janet. Janet and I are the same age, and we're both like 9 or 10 years old. So her and I are playing downstairs around the buses and hanging out. And for a whole day, I hung out with 9 or 10-year-old Janet Jackson, and I hung out together while her brothers were all performing with my family in a casino in Vegas back. Well, gosh, I'm 60 now, so 50 years ago. 50 years
Oh,
ago, Janet Jackson and I hung out together in Vegas, and that's my. So I heard you fish with Janet. I never got to tell you the story, but I'm like, dude, I think she's exactly the same age as me, 60 or 61 now, because we seem to be the same age when we were hanging out as kids. Crazy though that you're fishing with her. So she loves it. She likes fishing too.
she just comes along. Her son's all into it, so she just does it for her boy. She just rides along. And then she invited me to one of her concerts. I went down to one of her concerts down at the Hard Rock. She was gracious enough to have me down there, so it was a unique experience to watch her perform. But
Oh, that's
she
so
still got
cool,
it.
dude. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
awesome. I'm a big fan of watching her music, watching her videos. I'm like, I can't believe I hung out with that little girl back in the day because she became so big and a lot of her videos and songs, I loved them. And I'm like, I had a Janet Jackson moment, but it was when she was just a 10-year-old little sister of the Jackson Five. That's all. So, yeah, crazy. So, I got a question for you. We have a segment on the show. I got two segments. I'm going to throw the first one at you, and I'm still putting it together. I may hit you up for the teaser to this one because I don't get to ask it very often. But the feature is called the best worst hook story. So what I'm asking you for is what is the absolute worst hook story? And we're gonna have a little graphic that goes with it, somebody getting snagged. But what's the worst hook story you got?
Oh God, I've lost track of how many times I've had bad hook stories. I just had a recent one. I just went fishing with a client and it was the last stop of the day. I mean, it was just literally like the last fish of the day. And it was caught it on like a 20-pound jack on a Yozuri topwater plug. And the treble hook got right into the knuckle of my thumb. And it was just, and the worst part was the fish was still hooked to it and it was flopping around and it was one hook embedded in my thumb in the joint and the other one embedded in the jack that was flopping around, and I was screaming to my client to grab the fish. Oh, it was so painful, but I was able to go home, and with the history of emergency medicine, had some stuff at the house. My girlfriend's a nurse, and we just I was able to numb it up, and I just pushed it all the way through and cut the barb off. But
Oh,
my dad
oh, you had to
had my
push it
dad come
through?
over.
You had to
Yeah,
push it through
it
the
was so
knuckle of
bad. It
your
had to get.
thumb?
Yeah, it kind of went through the joint. Like I know it hit like a tendon because it was bad. But yeah, yeah, that was I felt that one. That one was pretty bad. But you play around hooks long enough, stuff like that's going to happen. You usually try to be prepared with some way of getting it out. A lot of times if it's in the soft tissue, I'm able to just kind of back it out or pop it out. The little tricks that you use, but when it's in that deep, there was nothing I could do but just kind of go home. And thank God I had some lidocaine at home and was able to numb it up and then grin and bear it and pop it out and
Well,
cut the
you got
barb
to be
off
the
and
best
back
person in the
going.
world. If you get a hook stuck in you, at least you got like a former nurse that can sit there. He's got all the hospital experience. You're the guy. Like you're the guy that's maybe like, oh, I got it. I got a kit right here. I'll get it out. I mean, I'd feel pretty safe having you remove a hook from me if you had to.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have that experience. You never know when you're going to you'll always fall back on a medical experience like that. It's what's nice. I don't care if I was, you know, broke as all could be. I would never go back to healthcare. I would sell used cars on a lot before I would ever go back
Really?
to medicine. But it's one of those things that I can always fall back on.
Right. I gotta tell you, so it ties into you and I because we did a show in Hilton Head together with Trent at Palmetto Dunes Charters. You remember that? So we did a show. We went up
Yep.
there and we had a show, and I'll have to link that one as well. So now I'm referencing it. So I'm gonna have a couple of links in the description because again, we did Unfathomed. You and I went canoeing around in the back of the lagoons, and we went offshore. But we were doing a show there, George, It was back when it was going coastal, and we were working our way down to you. We started up north and we would go from New York and then come down through the Hilton Head, all that, work our way towards Florida when we filmed the show with you. And we were on the beach fishing for the mako sharks or fishing for the sharks in the surf, surf fishing for sharks. And Trent's buddy, who was the guide, was surf casting with a single giant shark hook, and he sidearmed it right into the camera guy's temple. And he stuck that giant shark hook hanging
Oh,
off of that giant popper right into. So there's a temple shot, and it's a big, giant Norwegian camera guy from ESPN, from JM and Associates, and and we're filming, and all of a sudden whack, and he throws the camera down, and he lifts up, and you can see the popper and the blood and this big giant hook stuck right in his temple. And it was the worst, but my worst hook story relates to where you and I filmed the show in Palmetto Dunes in Hilton Head, and I did the line trick on it, but I was scared to death because I'm pulling it out of his temple, but I reversed it out of his temple. I did the line trick, but he was scared to death of hospitals. He just wanted it out. I took a bunch of heavy braid, and I just popped it right out. He didn't even know it. And you know how the line trick works. Like, he goes, "Get it out of me." I go, "It's already out."
yeah.
And it just slid right out. He can't see it, but he goes, "Get it out." I go, "It's already out." And he feels, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even feel it." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a
Now,
bad one. Anytime it's in your head or in a spot like that, or the joint in a joint, or soft tissue I can deal with. Other stuff gets a little tricky.
so I need to know, are you going to continue doing Unfathomed for the foreseeable future, or what does George have in his pocket next? Are you doing podcasts? You got a YouTube channel? Are you doing any major social media stuff? Or are you just digging the show and like that's going to be you for the next 10 more years?
It's not so much the show. I think what the important thing is to be a content creator, and that's kind of really what we've noticed. A lot of sponsors are in the need of content, whether it's still photography, whether it's short vignettes, or just long form content. I think if you just stick with just one thing, like a 23-minute show, you're going to kind of die on that vine. So, I'm pretty active on social media. That's become a huge part of marketing today. But just producing high quality content. I think my buddy says it best, especially we're talking about social media nowadays. And he says that there's a difference between influencers and expert. An influencer has 100,000 followers. An expert has 100,000 hours on the water. And that's so true. I think the way a lot of this content is being delivered nowadays, they're not necessarily experts. Back in the day when I was a kid, it was Jose Wahebe, it was Flip Pallet, and these guys were true legends in the industry, and both have since passed. But when they spoke, you listened. Nowadays, there's so much content out there, and there's such questionable ethics involved, and just questionable techniques that are being used. It's difficult, I think, for even for our sponsors to kind of understand what's right and what's wrong. So I just try to be just try to stay true to myself, try to do what's right for the industry, do what's right for our ecosystem. And I think that's important too. Just kind of still provide some education, but at the same time, be entertaining.
Well, George, you are becoming like a Jose Wahebe. I mean, and he was a legend in saltwater. And I seen you because truly, and you said it best, you kind of walk the walk and talk the talk. Great on camera, great personality. But dude, when we met you, you were just a machine on the water. You were just so good. And your timing was down. And as the host of the show and a professional fisherman, I was appreciating watching you do what you do in your backyard, and how you can sit there and be like, "Oh, tide's doing this. We got to go here. This is happening now. This is happening now. This is what we're going to do." And it was like you had this orchestrated milk run of stuff. And I know Earl appreciates that about you too, is that you have that ability because of all of your knowledge in saltwater fishing, that if you do content, you're doing it with like Jose Wahebe and Flip Pallet, where you have that experience behind you. And that's why I didn't want to do any how-to videos. Like, I want to do an entertaining podcast like we're doing here with Fishtails. But if you start doing content, all you get is these people that are going to watch it and rip it off, and then they're going to do it the next week. And it's a guy that's a YouTuber, and he's going to take whatever you say, George. You'll have some awesome way of rigging something or doing something or a trick with trolling something. And then this guy's going to go out 2 days later, 3 days later, and put it on his YouTube channel and basically just steal it from you.
Yeah, it's probably a lot worse in the freshwater side as well. But I try not to worry about what everybody else is doing. I've tried to just stay true to myself, like I said, do the things that I've always enjoyed doing. I've never thought of myself as an expert at fishing. I've never thought of myself even as an expert host or to be put in the same. I remember I was in the same room with Flip Pallet doing a Yeti photo shoot because I'm a Yeti ambassador. And this is when I first started, and I thought, oh man, I've made it. I'm in the same room with my idol, but to put myself on the same level of those guys, I don't think I'm really great at any kind of fishing per se, saltwater, freshwater, a certain type of fishing. I think I can kind of adapt and be pretty good at a lot of things, but not great at just one thing. But it's worked. The formula has worked. I think people can see through the BS. I think there's a lot of egos in the fishing world, and I think there's definitely a lot of egos in television at the same time. I think I started training jiu-jitsu like 10 years ago, and I think that was probably the best thing for me because it teaches you can have no ego. There's always somebody better. There's always somebody meaner and tougher. So anytime you walk into a jiu-jitsu studio, you check your ego at the door, and I just try to live my life that same way.
Wow. Wow, that sounds inspirational to be doing jujitsu. And I knew that was something that after we became friends, you just picked that up. I should say more recently, like you said, 8 or 10 years ago, since I kind of retired. But wow, that's crazy. It's cool.
Yeah, you go in, you get beat up by a girl. It's pretty humbling, but there's plenty of girls out there that can kick your ass.
Are there girls that can take you out?
There's levels. Like I said, as soon as you think you're tough, there's somebody tougher.
Yeah. Yeah. So how old are the kids now?
Let's see. Zane's at the University of Florida. He's 19, and Marin's a senior in high school, and she's 17. She's applying for college now as well. So
you're about to be an empty nester. Oh my gosh, it's coming. I think we talked about this at ICAST this year that I got my 14-year-old who's in school right now, and you're empty nesting it this year. It's going to happen. She's going to move on to college.
Yeah. My girlfriend has a 9-year-old daughter. So kind of, picking up there, but it's nice. I was so busy when the kids were that age too. I think I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff, unfortunately. So I think it's fun to kind of get a rewind and try it again. And, and then we all get together as a family and just, this summer I took the kids to Guatemala with me. Everybody went as a family and just enjoyed every minute of it because you realize how quick it goes. And, it's like your daughter's 14, you're going to blink and she's going to be at homecoming, and it's going to be, next thing you know, applying to college and gone.
Hey, thanks for checking out the show today, Fishtails. Something really cool going on. Trika Fishing is giving away 2 combination rod and reel packages. That's up to an $800 value. So we're going to do it 2 times. Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and then on Christmas Day. The only thing you have to do to have a shot at winning one of those Trika combinations is just subscribe to the show. We'd like you to like it, make comments, but if you subscribe, we're going to go through and randomly pick somebody before Black Friday and again before Christmas and notify them that they just won a Trika combination rod and reel. Back to the show. I know we have a large audience that's growing faster all the time. There may be some people watching this going, dude, talk about the Guatemala trip. Like, how does this is something they can get into, right? Like you have a booking process. Do you have a website or how do people get a hold of George Gozdz so they can go to Guatemala with you?
Yeah. Anybody can just reach out to me socially. I'm pretty easy to find, or through my website, unfathomedfishing.com, or just Captain George Gozdz, on Instagram or Facebook, and just send me a message. And I do the trip a couple times a year. I usually do it in April. I have one coming up in April. I still have some open spots on. And then I usually do it again in October. Like I said, we just got back. I think the nice thing about it is we take all the guesswork out of it. A lot of people want to travel to these destinations. They're hesitant, not knowing what to expect, security, transportation, just the whole logistics. We take all of the guesswork out of there. I've been going there so often. You land in Guatemala City, which is direct flight from many airports in the United States. And from there, we put you on a small plane and we fly to the coast. We land on the grass airstrip, which is an adventure in itself. Take a small panga to the resort. And you can leave Florida, Fort Lauderdale at 10 in the morning and have a drink in your hand at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the resort, and then fishing the next day. I do something a little different. We spend usually 3 days of fishing, 3 full days of fishing, and then we take an additional day and we head to their old capital city and explore their old capital city, which was first established, I think, in like the 1700s. And there's a lot of history there, and just rich in culture, killer cuisine, killer bars, and let people experience that as well. So it's not just the fishing, it's the whole package. And again, kind of taking them the whole entire time. Everything's arranged. There's no guesswork. There's no questions. We just handle everything, from exactly on how much you got to tip people to no hidden fees, and it makes the trip so easy. It makes it so much fun. If they can just reach out to me, I can make it happen, put a group together.
I will absolutely put all of that right now I can embed that in the show, all the text of all the different contacts for you. And what's that going to run for a person? Or is it per person or per couple, or how's that work?
Oh, it's per person. It's right around, it's a little under 4,000 now, for the week, all inclusive, except your airfare to Guatemala City. So right under 4,000, you're there for a week. I would say all in with airfare and tips, you're probably looking at 5,000 for the week, which for 3 full days of fishing, one day on my last hosted trip, I hate to say my batting average was 0, but I jumped off 7 blue marlin in one day myself.
7?
And I was
You
like,
jumped off
but
7
when you
blue
go
marlin?
anywhere, 7.
Huh?
7. Yeah. But I've had days where our best day, I think on our boat last year, they raised like 105 sails and released 65. So often if you miss one, there's another one right behind it, and you're going to get another shot at it. So it's one of those places that you can go and flatten your learning curve out, especially on billfish. Everything's trolling, so a lot of stuff is you're pitching it off of dredges. Off of squid chains. Dredges are not allowed there, so everything's a surface bite. If you enjoy fly fishing, you can catch them on fly, big mahi, yellowfin, Pacific sails, blue marlin, and even have rooster fish on the surf there.
So when people go to Guatemala with you, are they mostly targeting billfish, kind of like Tropic Star, where in Panama, where a majority of the people go there just to catch the billfish, sails or blues or whatever? Or do a lot of people do inshore with you?
The inshore fishery is not that popular. Unfortunately, there's a lot of netting and artisan fishing that goes on near shore that kind of, the river system kind of pretty much gets wiped out by nets in that area, and they're all subsistence fishing. So it is what it is. There is some rooster fishing when you get down the beach away from the port. You can troll squid chains on the beach and raise a rooster fish just like you're going to raise a billfish. They'll come onto a squid chain and you can bait them off the squid chains, which is really neat. But most of the offshore stuff, that place is pretty much known for its bill fishery. The amount of Pacific sails in that area is probably second to none. Blue marlin bite, especially this, my last trip, the last several trips, has been just absolutely amazing. But at the same time, we targeted yellowfin. We caught yellowfin to, 150 pounds, and just all you wanted. You could catch tons of yellowfin when they're around, and big mahi. Sometimes you have 30, 40-pound mahis that become nuisance. We're down there in December fishing the billfish tournament. I've remembered years in the past where we've actually kept our ballyhoo out of the water because the mahi were in the spread and you just did not want to catch a mahi. You were just waiting for a sailfish to come up. So you just keep your ballyhoo and hook bait out of the water. And then as soon as the billfish came in, you drop your bait in and pitch them off the squid chain. So
No
it's kind of,
way.
yeah, it's pretty sick. It's
Dude,
definitely pretty sick.
when is a mahi ever like a fish you're trying to stay away from? Like it's invasive. It's like, oh, now for us, that used to be mackerel. Like we try to stay away from the mackerel. We try to work around and catch the bonita or the other stuff or the barracuda and avoid the mackerel, but you're avoiding mahi. Like I don't want those dang good eating fish. It's crazy.
Yeah, when you're fishing for in a billfish tournament, every minute counts.
Yep.
So the times that's spent dealing with a mahi, just and if you're not in the meat category, same thing on a lot of these tournaments up the eastern seaboard. Same thing, if you're not in the meat cow cutter or not fishing for the meat, you're just kind of keeping it away from the meat fish and just trying to get the billfish.
Yep. Yep. I know how that goes. I get it. That's crazy, man. So, all right, cool. So if anybody wants to go to Guatemala, check out all the stuff we have here. I'm going to try to hitch a ride with you someday. So I'm going to see if there's
Yeah,
a
please
+1,
do.
if I could be your date, because, I'm a single dad, man. 5 grand, I just don't have it. I can fly out there, use
Come,
my
well, then
points.
come down. We'll jump on the KMS and we'll revisit our old past. We'll go snook fish. We'll let a Goliath grouper tug you around a little bit like the old days. Let you maybe catch a tarpon or two. We'll have to have you come down when Earl's in town, and we'll get you out on the KMS.
I would love to. One last question, and it's my favorite feature of the show. We actually have every single show I've done, we've done this. It's called The One That Got Away, and it doesn't need to be a fish. It can be anything in your life, George. The one that got away. It could be a business deal. It could be a sponsorship thing you wish. With Dave Mercer, it was with Mercer, it was the fact that he started in YouTube, but then he decided to go after outdoor programming. And who knew YouTube would have been the hottest thing? He was one of the pioneers of YouTube and outdoors, but he got into television and wanted a golden moose from the outdoor channel. So he's got a whole bunch of golden moose in the back, but he's like, man, he goes, I would have been the man if I would have just stuck with YouTube. So I'm putting you on the spot here. George Gozdz, what is the one in your life that got away?
The memory still haunts him. He lost by 2 ounces.
Wow, what a tough question. I've been fortunate that I think everything that I've kind of gone for, there's nothing I feel like, at least on the business side of it or fishing wise, there are a couple fish that still kind of, I just remember certain productions where I've tried and tried and tried to catch a fish and, just spent days and days and days on end trying to get a production done. It's funny. I look back on 15 years of production, and I think the most challenging show we ever had was just trying to catch a shark on the beach in Stewart, which seemed like it was going to be the easiest thing of all of us for us to do, and just get a couple shark rods, get in a kayak, paddle a big bait out into the surf. And I think we spent 3 nights, just not catching anything, trying to catch a shark. And it was like, I just want one shark. And I ended up not even getting anything worth a darn. I got like a big nurse shark or something, where these guys are catching giant tiger sharks and stuff off the beach. So it's probably just that kind of lived that back in my mind of just 3 sleepless nights on a beach, just trying to catch a silly shark when I don't even shark fish.
And shark are busy biting people. So if you walk out there, a bull shark will bite you in the calf or bite you in the leg, and you're taking bloody, stinky bait out there at night, right where they live, right where they bite people, and probably got blood buckets and chum and zero, nothing.
It was terrible. I mean, I remember having pizzas delivered to the beach because we were so hungry, and no CMs. It was, I will never, ever do that again.
Oh my gosh, I never heard that story. And that sounds like one of the worst production stories you could throw at me. So, yeah, wow, that's a bad one. Congratulations, you got a good one there. The one that got away was never catching a shark in 3 nights of kayaking with bloody stuff all over a beach. Dude, I cannot wait to come see you again. I would love to join you anywhere you're at, whatever you got going on. And we definitely need to spend some time on the water. Get Earl out there again. I think when Earl and Janet there, I could come out with Camber, and Janet and Camber can go to shopping, and Camber can love walking. What's that really expensive place over there close by you?
Worth Avenue. She'll take her down to Worth Avenue and spend your yearly budget in one day.
Yeah, I won't let Camber take my credit card to Worth Avenue with Janet. I'll just make sure it's around Christmas and say, Janet, you want to adopt my daughter? Janet Bentz, everybody. We're talking about Earl's wife, Janet. And we'll try to get an adoption going for a day so she can take Camber shopping. But I would love to go fishing with you again. And I think I need to get a hold of Earl, find out when you're both going to be there, and just jump on a boat again, because I miss you, man. It's been a great time. I have fished with you in Stewart. I have fished with you at Hilton Head, and I have fished with you here in Texas. So it's pretty cool that we've been in 3 different states, fishing 3 completely different bodies of water. But I definitely would love a homecoming, buddy, if you're up for it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think we're going to be coming with something special for Texas. So all those fans of shallow water Texas fishing, stand by. I think we have something that you're really going to enjoy, and it kind of give me a reason to get back out to Texas, maybe do another production your way.
Oh, well, you know what? I think I'm gonna get a hold of Earl after this is over and find out what the secret sauce is that we can't talk about on the show. But I'll say, Earl, I just had George on the show. Tell me what's in the hopper and might show up in Texas in my backyard, because that's just a 3-hour drive for me to leave San Antonio and come see you guys on the Gulf.
Yeah, instead of trailing my boat all the way from Florida, I think I'm gonna have one delivered there. I'll just tell Earl, let's have a dealer. I'll borrow a dealer's boat, because that was probably one of the worst trailer rides in my life, is going all the way from Florida down to southern Texas. It was a long ride.
I remember you said you used to tow your boat from California to New York to fish. I'm like, dude, I was traveling the tour and I was towing my boat from California to upstate New York down to Florida. Right here, we live right by Interstate 10. Crazy story, George. I-10 is right here, and I drove back and forth on this freeway. I would have never guessed I would have lived in Texas. But I've been on this freeway towing a boat all the way from either Boulder City, Nevada, or California, all the way to you in Florida, somewhere on the East Coast, right by this freeway. And if you would have told me you're going to live here in Texas right by the Interstate 10, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. But you can appreciate what us Bass pros have to do. Us Bass guys are glorified truck drivers, buddy.
Oh, well, look here. I'm missing the tip of a finger because of I-10. That was a tire change on the side of the road and on I-10 heading to Venice, Louisiana to do a production. I was changing the tire, and I-10 and I are not the best of friends. Lost the tip of my finger there.
Lost a finger on I-10. I'll close the show. I did.
Changing the tire on the side of the road. That was horrible.
Dude,
horrible. It was the first of a 13-day production. And as soon as I looked down, I just saw bone. And I said, oh, that whole production was, and I was set back like 3 months. I had to have surgery. I couldn't be on the water. That was like 2 years ago. This
happened changing the tire. How did you cut it off changing the tire? Like, I got to hear it now that we started this. Viewers are going to be like, what's the story, dude?
I was just being stupid. I was rushing and I was being stupid. And I should have, with a tandem axle trailer, I should have just pulled over to the next exit. I could have just went to the next exit, but I pulled on the side of the road and I was in a rush to change it. I only had a 4x4. I didn't even have the jack with me. So I drove the good tire up onto a 4x4 to elevate the bad tire. I take the old tire off. I get the spare. I put the spare on, or go to put the spare on. And because it's only 4 inches, it's just not quite high enough to get the new tire on. Just can't get it onto the lugs. So I tell my cameraman, I'm like, hey, just back the trailer off the board. I'm going to put something under there just to give it a little bit more height so I can get the new tire on. He backs off. He goes to put it up onto the wood, and I had set something on there to just give it a little bit more elevation. Well, that had slipped off, and it pinned my finger underneath the tire right on the concrete and just cut, I don't know, it cut this one off too, but they were able to put the tip of this one back on, but I lost that one. So it was just being dumb. Just complete stupidity.
George!
Yeah, it was horrible. And I looked down, and it was just bone, and I was like, oh, okay. So that was one of the dumber things I've done.
Oh, what are you going to do? Well, man, thanks for being on the show. You've closed it with a heck of a story. Everybody check out everything we're going to promote for George. It's going to be real cool to join you in Guatemala someday and see you in Florida sooner than that. And man, thanks for coming on the show, buddy. Thanks for being a part of Fishtails.
Hey, thanks for everything you did for me. I appreciate our friendship.
Hey, man, anything I can do for you anytime. Looking forward to promoting all your new things. And we'll talk later, buddy. You take care. We're out.
Fishtails has been brought to you by Livingston Lures. Learn more at livingstonlures.com. Fishtails is also supported by these fine sponsors: Trika Fishing, Mercury Outboards, and Cas Boats.